Since I was a kid, I really had a big passion towards economics. Even I'm an international student, so even if when I was back in my country, I always read the central bank reports. Back then, I know it's very boring for most students, but I don't know, I loved it. I loved that information. I used to watch the business news even back in the day, so this was the only thing that I heard when I came to BMCC, the only thing that I saw that something sounded anything like it, a competition. I thought that I could use the knowledge I knew and maybe to grow a lot more. So that really interested me, and when I walked into the club and I see a lot of like-minded people, that was a very interesting place.
I got involved with Finance and Economics Club when I first received a flyer from Yanni, Professor Tornes, when I took his class in marketing. So I'm very interested in economics, so I thought I would definitely come to one of the meetings and see if it any interesting for me, and it actually turned out to be very interesting. So I ended up being a president of the club.
The history of the Finance and Economics Club is a very exciting one. Basically, I was aware for several years that this Fed Challenge competition is happening annually. Just to give you an idea about the Fed Challenge competition, annually the Federal Reserve Board of the United States, they organize a college student competition where individual teams from different colleges and universities, they make presentations about monetary policy. What should monetary policy be in the coming year, in the coming month, or whatever.
The reason why economics and monetary policy in particular is so interesting for me is because economics gives you a clue on how the society works in general. It is one of the social sciences that gives you actual idea of how everything is connected in society. When I took Professor Tornes' class, it was especially interesting for me because he motivated us in the way that he said, I don't care about all those complicated words that you read in the books and articles and different business editions. All I want to know is that whether or not you're able to explain this to your grandmother. And it may sound really trivial, but the bottom line is, it's exactly right. If you really have the knowledge of the subject, you're able to explain it in simple words.
This is a very interesting competition because it makes students to think about a variety of issues, to develop their critical thinking, to develop their presentation skills. It's a win-win situation. From our district, there were approximately 40 or 50 colleges and universities that participate. And our district includes Connecticut, it includes New Jersey, and includes New York State. Basically, the idea is to prepare a 15-minute presentation, and out of this 15-minute presentation, to present it in a panel of judges who are economists from the Federal Reserve or from a variety of business institutions, let me say it like that, or academic institutions, to make a presentation about what should the monetary policy be for the next 6 months.
Well, it felt really great to the whole process of preparing for the challenge. Even though the final team consisted only of 5 students, there were more than 15 people helping us with the research. And so what we did, we would meet every week and talk about current economic data. We would compare current situation with previous recessions. We would talk about what are the possible outcomes for the current situation and try to do the forecast. Of course, try to do forecast and the suggestion for the monetary policy is probably the most challenging part because it requires a lot of knowledge. And of course, Professor helped us with that. He gave us necessary guidance. But I thought this challenge really developed our analytical, critical thinking skills, public speech, presentation skills. I mean, it's just great.
To focus on how we address the monetary policy issue, we all gave each person a section of monetary policy to handle. So some of us took housing, some of us took investment, some of us savings, some of us interest rates. So we all focused on each section of the economy, how the monetary policy affected them, and all the students, maybe 15 or 20 who was present there, each person focused on each section of finding research on each section, how that sector was performing, and has it been doing badly, or is it going to do, how is it going to do in the future? So that's how we focused. We pulled up all our resources at the end, and that's when we came out, that's how we came up with our recommendations. With the crisis that's going on right now, we see that it's the housing market that's not picking up, and we saw that it needs more focus, more information when we go to present on it. So we gave it a more weight to that sector. So that's how we prepared for it.
In that respect, we made the presentation, and after that, after those 15 minutes, there is a 15-minute question and answer portion of it. So basically, the students, they had to prepare the presentation, and after they prepared the presentation, they were asked a variety of questions, and they had to justify their answers, why they should do this or the other. And this is an indication of the critical thinking aspect and the presentation aspect, to be able to stand independently in front of a group of experts who are asking them questions, and to be able to, in a certain sense, to stand their ground, if you will.
We knew that we are going to give a 15-minute presentation, and we knew what we are going to say in the presentation, but we didn't know what the questions are. So these questions, we had to know how the economy worked, how to answer these questions. So for example, they asked us how the economic situation in Europe might affect the current situation in America. So these are very current situations that we are not so familiar about, and we had to come up with spontaneous answers. We used all these resources. Especially what helped was that everybody focused in their own area, so they knew what they were talking about in their area. So if a question was thrown at us from that specific area, we knew how to answer. If somebody asked me about the housing market, I was ready to answer. If somebody asked about government spending, Christina in our group answered. This way, everybody was ready with their own part. So, because obviously there's too much information in the economy for one person to grasp and be able to answer. I don't think any expert in the world is able to do that. So we segmented the economy, and that's how I think we performed. And we didn't, I mean, we all go to a competition to win. Nobody goes to participate to lose and come. But we knew it was our first time. We didn't know how the format worked. Only thing we knew about the competition, we looked at YouTube videos, how the competition went, and most of them, I mean, we tried to inculcate most of these techniques they used to perform better. But we were surprised when we heard that we won the community college section of the competition.
I have the very rewarding feeling that the students, they feel very, very excited. All the students who participated, the ones who participated in the presentation, and the ones who did not have a chance to participate because there were more volunteers than actually the people who participated, they felt that they learned a lot. And this is the most, being in education, one of the most rewarding aspects of education is to see that people, they get an understanding of how the world works, to understand about monetary policy, to be able to stand their own grounds. And this was very rewarding. Of course, it's important to be the first place, but it's not the most important part for me is the fact that the students, they participated, they learned a lot, and they felt that they won the first place among the community colleges, which is a very important achievement for them and can give them confidence for their future academic study.
Well, of course, when we were announced winners, it definitely felt really exciting. And the fact that we did it for the first time, the BMCC team did it for the first time, especially made us feel very proud, not only for ourselves, but also for our school, because BMCC had never participated in this kind of contest.
Winning a competition of this sort, it puts a lot more power behind a resume. And I think that helps you a lot, especially if you're in a community college, to go to a four-year college, to a top college. I think competitions of this sort carries a lot more weight than if you have just been in a club. Because these competitions show that, these clubs show that you have a genuine interest in that subject, especially if you're going to pursue a career, a degree in that field. That shows that you have had a genuine interest since you were young, and that's why you have participated. And being in these groups or competitions show that you're familiar with the area and you love this subject, and that in turn makes you a really good candidate when you apply to a good school. If you look at most subjects taught in school, if you do science, if you do biology, if you do mathematics, end of the day we all try to make money, and we all should know how to manage that money. I think economics plays that part. I mean, a lot of people make a lot of money and they don't know how to maintain it or invest it, or where the economics is coming into play with that money. I mean, a lot of people have retirement funds that vanished in 2008, who worked all their life to save that, and it's gone. A little knowledge of the economy might have helped. So, and one other interesting thing about economics is it's not a binary subject. It's not something you know this is happening. It's always the better understanding you have of the economy, the better your predictions are. You might be wrong, you might be right, you don't know. So it's a very interesting subject that way if you really go into it.